Yeah, how's it going, everyone? My name is Earlmeister, and in today's Meister meta breakdown, we are going to be talking about Thea Beasty's tournament, the pack 1.7k. All right, first of all, we're going to talk about the meta spread. I am super happy that set 3 accomplished what I wanted it to accomplish, which is a healthier meta spread. It's no longer down to 2 or 3 decks that is dominating the meta. There are a bunch of decks that finally came to life, and I'm just very happy to see multiple different decks instead of 1 or 2 decks up there. And we're gonna start with Ruby Amethyst Control. Yes, I was talking about meta spread, but the thing is, set 1, set 2, Ruby Amethyst is really good. Set 3, it's even better. It's just super consistent with its performance, and it's very well rounded now. It's more well rounded than it was before compared to the previous set, and I think that this deck is just gonna keep getting better and better and better. And there's 2 of them in the top 8, which is really cool. I mean, I'm saying that it's well-rounded, but that doesn't mean that it's always going to be top 1, especially when it's the deck to beat. That means that a lot of the people that are creating their deck, they're always going to be tagging into, okay, is this good enough to beat Ruby Amethyst? They're always going to try to increase their chances against Ruby Amethyst, especially if you're a mid-range player, right? Because control is supposed to dominate mid-range decks. But the thing is, mid-range against control, if you are a good deck maker, if you know how to add techs into your decks, and if you're a good player in general, you can close that gap into more of a 49-51 instead of a 60-40 matchup for you. Now, there are 5 Ruby Amethyst Control in this tournament. 2 of them are in the top 8. There's 3 Blue Steel in this tournament, or in the top 16, and there's 2 in the top 8. We're going to be talking about top 16 today. There's 3 Pop Controls. 1 of them is on the top 8. 1 Blurple, which is surprising for me, and I'm happy to see that. Blue Purple Sapphire Amethyst. We have 1 Emerald Bounce Aggro that made it to top 8. That was really cool. 1 Amethyst Steel Aggro. That blew my mind. But we're going to talk about that on why and how it made it to top 8. And then we have 1 Ruby Fossa and 1 Steel Song Flutes that made it to top 8 as well. Now, let's discuss about the meta change really quick. With everything changing, first of all, I want to talk about Steel Song, because with everything changing, a lot of people think that Steel Song is going downhill. But the thing is, just like every mid-range deck, it's super hard to build the deck, first of all, to tech the deck, and it's super hard to pilot. So it requires an ultra megatonic player. If none of these players are posting their decks or showing their gameplay, it's very few players that will find success with these decks, in my opinion. And Steel Song Flutes is actually still there. I mean, if we look at the list right now, there is a lot of control players in this list, and in order for mid-range sometimes to keep up with control, or in order for them to beat control, they need to have some sort of fast techs in their deck. And I know that last week Brandon DeCandio won with the Lantern, and we'll talk about that too. We'll do a mention of that. But Steel Song Flutes is still there. Flutes allows you to gain extra lore while you're trying to build tempo on the board, which is what you need against control, because you need to finish the game as fast as you can. You cannot drag that game for too long. The longer the game goes, control will always be dominant at end game. The longer the game goes, it takes a lot of skills, decision critical decision making for mid range to be able to keep up with control in the late game, and that is why I think Flutes is still there. And we will talk about the other tournament tomorrow, the 8K one, and Steel Song Flutes actually won that one. But first, let's talk about these decks. The Flutes is still there. It just needed some changes, but it's still performing really well. Now, speaking of adapting, a lot of the blue players have adapted with a new tech, and this is Lucky Dime. And I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, and I deserve it. I deserve it because I haven't been actually watching a lot of Twitch streams lately, and I'm kind of falling behind when it comes to the blue players putting the dime in. But the moment I see it, I understood right away why it's there and why it can be good. Is it the best Ultra Megatonic card out there? I don't think so. But is it a great tech? I do think so. And it caught me off guard as well when I'm playing online with the dime popping out, and I'm like, okay, I disrespected it. And then all of a sudden that dime actually gained like 10, 15 lore for them, right? So dime is one of the great techs right now of blue players. I believe that the first place is running 1 or 2. We're gonna check that out pretty soon. I haven't fully checked these out. I wanted to do it as we go when we're doing this video. And another tech is lanterns as well for yellow players. I'm pretty sure that this list over here with Brennan has been running some lanterns too. This list over here with the there's only 2 amber decks that actually made it. It's a flutes, so it doesn't have it. But I just wanted to do a quick discussion about the lantern and why it's good. If you guys haven't seen my interview with Brennan DeCandio for the Lorcana's podcast, make sure to check that out after this video. It's an Ultra Megatonic interview, in my opinion, because I learned a lot and asked him questions that a lot of people in the community or just competitive players in general have been asking. Why Lantern? And now I understand. After I asked him, he told me that Lantern allows you to play ahead of the curve, right? And against Ruby Amethyst, again, going back to that topic, that it's the deck to beat. It's what you're usually playing around against because the meta spread is pretty big for Ruby Amethyst, is that you are able to play the Sad Boy Beast at turn 4, allowing you to get 1 to 2 value from the beast ahead of time. Otherwise, if you play it at turn 5, especially if you're going second, it's just gonna get annihilated by Medusa. And if you're going first, you're only gonna get one value from it instead of 2 Ultra Megatonic draws. And Beast is just a really good card, especially if you can get it out there early. And that is why Green Steel is running that with Morph. And it's really, really good when it comes down at turn 3. It's Ultra Megatonic. But I just wanted to do a quick shout out to that tech, lanterns, and I'm talking about that right now because when meta changes, you need to be able to adapt to the meta, especially if you are a mid-range player. Mid-range is hard enough to play. Mid-range is hard enough to tech, and if you don't adapt to the current meta, you're gonna get annihilated with whatever decks that you're playing. And I think that is why a lot of Steel Song players are moving away from Steel Song or having a hard time right now with Steel Song. It's because the thing is, it's just super hard to adapt, and some of them haven't adapted yet and not finding success with it. And that's just the truth. Now, let's talk about a great meta read here by the aggro players. If we look at the current screen right now, we will see 8 control players just on the top 16. That's half of the top 16 are control players. And what beats control? Aggro. Why? Because aggro punishes control and they don't let them get to the end game and finish the game as fast as they can, right? And this is just an ultra megatonic read by these two aggro players. Unfortunately, on top 4, they have to face their biggest vein, which is number 1, mid-range. Aggro struggle against mid-range, and the fact that these mid-range decks have steal on them, it's just really, really tough for aggro to be able to beat those kind of decks. And do you auto lose to it? No. Aggro has found some ways to somewhat survive that, and this is a great example. They made it all the way to the top. Now we don't know how many steel players they faced going up there. I'm not getting into that, but they made it to top 4, and it just really, really sucks that they both have to face a steel player, which is, the matchup is just not in their favor, sadly. But like what I said, you can still win against them, and they have won some games against them. It's just that at the end of the day, they're not in favor. It's a super hard matchup to win, especially when you're playing against another ultra megatonic player. But props to the aggro community. Props to these two aggro players. I'm a big aggro fan, right? I love playing aggro, but I am scared of playing aggro when it comes to this, because when you play aggro, you just have to accept it. If you play against steel, your matches is not in your favor. And you can do your best to win it, but they read the meta pretty well with popsicles coming out of nowhere, and there's a lot of them being played right now. That is 2 ultra megatonic control decks: Ruby Amethyst control, Ruby Sapphire control, all over the place. Your chances of facing them are high, and your chances of winning against them are high, and it's really, really cool that they made it to top 4. Now, we're gonna be checking out the top 8 decks here. We're gonna look at every single deck on the top 8. First, let's look at the top 16 first. We have 2 Ruby, 3 Ruby Amethyst control that made it to top 16. We're not surprised about that, because it's an ultra megatonic deck that can easily make it to, not easily make it, but can definitely make it to top 16 at least. We have a pop control, 2 pop controls in it. We have 1 blue steel player, but these are the 2 that I want to highlight more, because those decks, we expect them to be up there, right? But the Ruby Amber making it to another top cut is really, really cool. There was one tournament, I believe a week or 2 weeks ago, where Ruby Amber got 2nd place. Ruby Amber has a lot of potential, and I said this on the podcast when I met with creators in London during the set release, that this is one of the decks that we need to look out for. I played it a lot as well, and it feels very smooth. It's just really, really hard to pilot sometimes. And props to Brennan for making it to another top cut. Again, he was the first place on last week's or 2 weeks ago. He was the first place on that tournament for the pack, same tournament, and he made it to the top cut with a different deck. He used Steel Song at first, and now he's using Ruby Amber, and I'm excited to see if he's gonna proceed on actually using this deck for future tournaments. It seems like he's having a lot of fun with it, and he's doing some techs right away after he lost his match on top 16. So he's gonna refine it even more. But this is an ultra megatonic deck and performance by him. Really, really cool. But another one that I want to talk about is this deck by Benjamin Gibson, the Sapphire Amethyst. I think this is the one that we're gonna look at right now on top 16, because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. So we're only gonna check out the top 8, but I want to check this out really quick, because Blurple or Blue Purple or Amethyst Sapphire doesn't really see much success, right? And I talked about this during set 2, that it has potential. It's only a matter of time before someone can find some success with it. And it happened. It's on top 16. We're gonna check out their deck really quick. The thing is, Amethyst is just really good, and you can see right away that the min package is here. The new Rafiki is there. I like this card a lot. And then we have the crab text here too. We're gonna look at the purple really quick. The Merlin package is here too. The whole bounce package is here. It's running Isma as well, which is really cool. Elsa is being played on this deck, which is really cool to see because we don't get to see Elsa a lot anymore. And obviously Friends on the other side. And we have the Queen's Castle as well being added. This card is amazing. And now we're going into the blue, starting with Grammatala. Grammatala is here. These are usually the usual package that you would run. Not everyone runs Grammatala, but you found success on Grammatala, so props to that. A pretty solid turn to play to ramp up even more. And if they don't deal with it, you gain free quests with it, or free lore with it, which is nice. We have Grammatala here. We have Mickey Mouse Detective. This is actually something that kind of took my attention the first time I look at this, is that running Mickey Mouse Detective over what do you call this, Quill. And I know they have a good reason for it. Obviously they perform really well with it, but usually you would see Quill nowadays over Mickey Mouse Detective, especially if you're running Hiram Flaversham. It's just more targets for you as a Flaversham for more draws. But I guess that if you're running this, you're not really reliant on Flaversham for draws, right? Because purple just have a lot of draws. You have Friends on the other side. You have Maleficent Sorceress. You have Merlin Rabbit, which is an ultra megatonic card for draws. So much value on this card. And we have 2 Gastons and 2 Cogsworth as well. The Cogsworth is probably the one that I feel like should be a 3 or 4 ofs, but like what I said, it worked out for them. We don't know their game plan. The most important thing is like, screw the ideas of like what are the good cards and what 4 ofs you should be building. If you can, and I talked about this on the podcast with Brennan, if you can build a deck that you're comfortable with and you have reasons and you have a game plan on what you're supposed to do it. Do it. Don't listen to any creators. Don't listen to the other players or competitive players out there. If you have a reason for it and you think it's gonna work, do it. Because you're most likely be able to do well with something that you're comfortable with, like this blurple player, this blue-purple player, right? Not running Amethyst Ruby control, not running Popsicle, or not running Steel Blue decks, but it found success because they're probably comfortable with this deck and they probably have an ultra megatonic plan on why they're running this. And they have 2 Gastons as well, like what I said. I don't think you need 4 of this in this deck because you have a lot of draws already. You have a lot of ways to find cards in your deck. This is just an extra spicy way for you to filter and find a card that you need. And of course, with McDuck Manor and the Popsicles for blue, obviously this is a great draw mechanic for them. And the McDuck Manor is just a giant 4 cost location that can quest for 2. But the thing about these cards though, it's a win more card. He needs to be able to play this first really consistently and take the board and then play McDuck Manor. That is the downside of cards like Dime or cards like Locations. They're more of like a win more card. You need to win the board first. You need to win the fight, and then you can capitalize on these locations or other cards, like other win more cards, where if you're winning, it can help you win more. But they don't do anything though. If you're not winning, you drop this, it's just gonna get annihilated by a Maui and a crab, or a Maui or something else out there. But yeah, big props to the blue purple player that made it to top 16. Okay, now getting into the top 8, we're gonna start with the bottom 4 of the top 8. We have a 2 ruby amethyst, a ruby sapphire, and a steel sapphire. We're gonna check out this one by Inkwell Gamers. Let's by now, if you haven't been familiar of ruby amethyst, go watch my ruby amethyst video so you can see like the base cards over there, what are being played, and we're basically just gonna talk about the text that they added here. So as we can see right away, he's playing Chernobogs. There's still a world where it's 4 Rafikis, 4 Mini or Olaf, but Chernobogs can be played as well. I tried Chernobogs. I gotta say that I prefer playing a 1-3 body because I am playing 4 crabs with mine, but he has less crabs, so that's one of the reasons why he's probably playing Chernobog. And also Chernobog has a really, really good body for some matchups, right? There are some 2 HP stuff out there. The thing is, Rafiki is gonna quest if you only have a 1-3 body there, or other stuff will quest and gain that extra lore if you only have a 1-3 body. But this allows you to not let those characters or bodies to take advantage of early lore in the beginning. And another thing here is where he's running 3 Cuscos and 2 Pinocchio. Pinocchio has been really, really good for this meta. There's the thing is, like on mirror match or just other match in general, Pinocchio will have a ultra megatonic target and it's just a great splash. But the thing is, if you're playing a Rafiki and your opponent plays a Rafiki, comes turn 2, you can play Pinocchio. Boom, you take out the Rafiki and they're basically dead. They can't put out their Madam M Snake on turn 2. They don't have a target for the Fox on turn 2. And if they're not running cards like Cuzco, they won't be able to play on turn 2, and they're most likely gonna skip that. And that is ultra megatonic tempo for you right off the bat. Another thing here, it's running 2 crabs. Usually it's 2 to 3. I am very greedy with my crabs. I like running 4 crabs. I love the crabs, but this list is running 2, and you can get by with that. Honestly, 2 is good enough. It really depends on your deck and your game plan, like what I said. And here we can actually see that there is no longer any Tremaines. There's only 2 Medusas, no Tremaines, 0 Tremaines, and the Isma is still being run on the deck. Another thing is still running 4 Maleficents as well. A lot of the players has cut some Maleficents, but I can still see a world where 4 of these will ultra megatonic perform really well. And you have the other staples as well. Another tech here is Stumaui Fish Hook and the Sorcerer's Spellbook. This is really, really good against mirrors and against control matchups, because it just allows you to cheat some lore in every time you play it. I am not a fan of it, like playing it myself. I like having a more like super heavy control deck, but these are the techs that beats me all the time every time I face against it. This is just a really good tech, almost necessary. It really depends on you if you're a spellbook type of guy or not, or type of player or not. That's totally up to you. And this one is also running only 2 Queen's Castle, and I like this. It's not ultra megatonic greedy, because if you do run 4 Queen's Castle and you're running 2 spellbooks as well, I feel like that's so much on your, because these are win more cards. It's spellbook has a lot of other reasons why it's here, but this 100% sure that it's a win more card. But yeah, this is a pretty well-rounded deck. Props to the Inkwell Gamers for getting into top 8 with this really cool list. Now the next one is the Rat, another ultra megatonic player that's been performing really consistent on the pack tournaments. Let's look at it really quick. This is more my style right here. An Olaf Rafiki, only 2 Cuscos, which is, I think it's a sweet spot for the Cusco. Again, it really depends on the player and what their game plan is when it comes to attacking, right? And we can see that it's running the Pinocchio, solid tech over here. Only one Merlin Crab though, which is this I'm not a fan of, but the rat is an ultra megatonic player, so if one Merlin Crab is working for him, that's great. We have 3 Maleficent Sorceress, 2 Minnie Mouse. He's still running a Minnie Mouse. I'm scared of running Minnie Mouse now. I actually cut this on my list because of I'm just scared of the Maui's Fishhook. But the thing about Minnie is it's still a great card to add pressure if your opponent doesn't have any ways of dealing with this card. It's ultra megatonic, and one of the reasons why it's probably running this is that there are a lot of decks out there still that are not able to deal with this or have to spend extra to be able to deal with a card like this. And the other ones here are just basically the staple ones. We have 2 Madame Medusa and 2 Ismas. I'm really surprised that a lot of the players on this list has fully cut the Tremaines. I'd like to have at least one-ofs, but hey, they have a better meta read than me, and these are ultra megatonic players, and this is as well my style. I like having 2 monster dragon now, a monstrous dragon now, 2 Maleficent dragons, because the thing is, I feel like the meta is so fast. It's very rare that I get to play this unless it's a mirror and stuff like that. But this is pretty standard with some text on it. 2 Teeth and Ambitions as well. He cut down the Teeth and Ambitions to 2 copies, and these are staples. We have Maui's Fishhook, just like the Inkle Gamers. The same tech. Only 1 Queen's Castle. Now this is like big props for me. I'm gonna give him a big round of applause because the Queen's Castle is so tempting to run a lot of. Because the thing about this card is just it's pretty ultra megatonic, honestly. Like if you're winning, it can just close in the game really fast for you. But then again, you have to win the board first before you're able to play this. So this is it's running 1 Dragonfire. I like this list. Props to the rat for not giving in to the greediness of cards like this. And yeah, that's the tech of the 1 Dragonfire as well. I like this card. On set 2, I was running 2 of these. I fully cut it off my deck. I'm playing a more greedy list with like 3 Medusas and 3 Tremaines, but I think Dragonfire still has a place, at least 1 or 2 of them. It always catches people off guard, especially on turn 5. Turn 5, they're going first. They play the Beast, and now Ruby Amethyst actually has an answer for it at turn 5, Dragonfire. And that's one of the reasons why this card is still pretty solid in my opinion. Again, props to the rat for another great performance, making it to the top 8. All right, the next one that we're going to talk about is Thomas Maurer. I hope I didn't butcher it. Well, it's one of those. But this is a steel blue ultra megatonic Cogsworth and Friends deck. At first glance, you can see right away the new tech that a lot of blue players has been running. We have 2 Lucky Dimes here. Everything here are pretty much the regular curve that you will see. He's running both Mickey Mouse Detective and Fishbone Quill here, 3 and 3 ultra megatonic ramp cards, and only 3 Flavor Sham. But I guess like steel players can be able to survive with just 3 Flavor Shams, right? Because you have a whole new world. On this deck, you have 4 of them, and you're not super reliant on the draw mechanics of Flavor Sham. And then you have the other staples here. We have Beast, Cogsworth, 2 Guststones. We have the Tinkerbells, 2 Cinderellas as well on this deck. I think Cinderella on this meta is pretty solid with the amount of steel players out there. If you can get out this Cinderella, you are in for a treat. It's really cool. It's running 2 Hades as well. This deck is running 2 Hades. I don't really get to see Hades that much anymore, but or at least 4 of it. But But 2 Hades on this and 2 Tamatoa, so shiny. Tamatoa is super scary, especially if you're running this many items on your deck. In your late game, the Lucky Dime can just quest so much with Tamatoa, and I lost, like what I said, I lost a game to that before. And Lucky Dime has a lot of great targets here. Most of these can quest for 2, and you have 2 other characters, Cinderella and Gaston, that's able to quest for 3 with the Lucky Dime. And again, Tamatoa, the possibilities are endless. Well, not endless. You can get up to 9 or 10 extra lore with Tamatoa if you use the Lucky Dime. It's also teching Rise of the Titans. I think this card is really good in the meta right now. There's a lot of blue players that's running a lot of different items, especially Lucky Dime. That's a great card to target those players, prevent them from keep ramping with Fishbone Quill as well. And the thing is, there are a lot of people that is still running locations, so this is really good for that too. And I'm really happy that this card can choose a location or item to banish, not just a location. And it's running 2 Smash. This is one of the spiciest tech that I don't see a lot of people are running anymore. I like Smash in this meta. It has a lot of great targets, especially if you're playing against the opponent Ursula. Even if you're not playing against the aggro version of it, even if you're playing against the steel green version of it, this is just an ultra megatonic card to target those cards as well. And it still has a lot of plays in the meta because, like what we saw, the Rat is still running some Minnie Mouse evasives at turn 3. This can straight up just target that and take it off the board. And we have 2 Strength of the Radiant Fire, 2 and then along came Zeus on the list. 4 A Whole New World, 2 Grab Your Swords, two of these, right? I think it has good enough draws and a lot of like ways to find this, that even if you don't have 3 or 4 of these, you should be able to find which one you need most of the time at least. And lastly, McDuck Manor running for these cards. Now I'm not here to judge what they're running, but this is a pretty solid deck. You can see a lot of text for it. You can see that they put a lot of thought into what matchups that they're gonna go to as well with these type of techs. This is really scary though for McDuck Mansion. It just looks really scary for me, especially if you're running 2 Lucky Dimes as well. There's a lot of these win more cards, but hey, if they're an ultra megatonic player that can take the board away from you all the time, who am I to say anything for these decks, right? But yeah, this is a pretty solid list. Congratulations, Thomas Moorer, for making it to top 8 with this list. The next one that we're gonna check out is by Killian Ma. Killian Ma with the spicy Ruby Sapphire. I think it's the return of Ruby Sapphire. Now, aggro players out there, it's time for you to rise and punish. My accent is coming out. Punish all these control players. There's a lot of them, but let's talk about this really quick. Let's start with the staples. You have Develop Your Brain Popsicles, Fishbone Quill, Mauish Fishik is becoming a staple now. It's just really solid in the meta. You have a splash of 1 Lucky Dime, very ungreedy splash of the Lucky Dime here. And then you have the other cards that we usually see, Cruella, Grammatala, Queen of Hearts. You can see right here as well that they have a bunch of turn 2 plays in order for them to not straight up lose against aggro, because aggro has a really good matchup against control and they don't want to straight up just lose against aggro. And that is why you see a lot of these cards on turn 2, especially the Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts can just deal with a lot of the bodies in early game against aggro, and it can deal with it right away because of the rush. We have 2 Judy Hops, 2 Minnie Mouse, a lot of 2-ofs over here. 4 Flaversham. I think in the Ruby Popsicle deck, you need to run 4. You can't get by with 3. It's just gonna lack draws if you do that. So 4 is super ultra megatonic solid, and the staple Maui's, Gaston as well. I'm pretty sure that most lists for Ruby Sapphire as well is gonna be running 4 Ghost Stones, because like what I said, this deck doesn't have the same amount of draws that a Ruby Steel, that Sapphire Steel has. So that's probably why you need to run 4 Ghost Stones. We have 2 Lady Tremaines. The Lady Tremaine Love is still there. 3 Madame Medusas. 2 Scar. This card right here is an Ultra Megatonic tech, in my opinion. It's really good against Ruby Amethyst. I've been seeing a lot of consistency with this card against Ruby Amethyst. The thing is, like, at turn 6, most of the time, Ruby Amethyst players will exert and quest going into turn 7, because they know for sure that the opponent has a big chance of using Be Prepared, right? Be Prepared. So cards like this can punish those type of plays, because now you have the rabbits and other or another Maleficent out there, or another small body that you can punish, and then you take out 2 of those, and now you take out the big boy. You can take 4 to 3, maybe more, because the thing is, like, if there's a Rafiki that was exerted on that play as well, the Rafiki doesn't do any damage back to this, so it's just a free target for Scar. I think this is a really, really good splash or tech by Killian. Tamatoa is so shiny. There's 4 Tamatoa and Maleficent. I guess, like, having these Ultra Megatonic late game cards, if you have the ramp, is not a big deal, because you can get access to them right off the bat. Tamatoa is a great card to bring in a popsicle to keep the draw mechanic flowing, so you don't dry up right away. And you have 4 McDuck Manor. We talked about this already, and 3 Be Prepareds. I think in most Ruby decks, you need to have 4 Be Prepared, but this one is an exception, because 3 Be Prepared should be enough if you're running 2 Scars. I feel like 2 Scars is a lot. It's scary for me, but hey, it worked out for them. They got all the way up here with their list. So props to them for making the top 8 Ultra Megatonic Sapphire Ruby popsicle deck. Now let's move on to the next one. Congratulations, Killian Ma. Let's go to the top 4 lists. The top 4 lists for my aggro players out there. Here's our first aggro deck. The thing is, like, I call this mid-grow. To simplify it, people would call it aggro, but this deck has a lot of aspects of a mid-range decks, and that is why, in my book, this is a mid-grow deck. But anyways, let's get on with this. We have 2 Chernobog's followers, 4 Curse Merfolk, and this is one of, like, I would say right away that this is more on the mid-grow side of things than it is on the heavy aggro. Because if you are on the heavy aggro, you would most likely be running the 1-drop Maleficents. But instead, we have 4 Curse Merfolk and 4 Rafikis and 2 Chernobogs to be able to get some control on the board as well. And then we have the Flynn Riders, of course, the Mim Snakes, 1 Pinocchio on it. Like, this card right away tells you that this deck is not a full aggro deck, because this deck is looking to trade. Aggro rarely trades, but this is why I call these deck mid-grow. It's much easier to understand and much easier to build a plan once you understand what mid-grow is. Pinocchio, and then you have Ursula's, of course, Ultra Megatonic card in the set. Only 3 Cloud Kickers, Kit Cloud Kickers. 4 Madam M Fox, 3 Maleficent, 3 Merlin Crabs. I think with this list, it's pretty solid as well. The thing about Flynn Rider is, like, if you really need to, if you go on the defense, and also with Pinocchio, you can just buff those with Merlin Crabs and be able to trade. 4 Ursula, Deceiver of All, another Ultra Megatonic great card, and we have the whole bounce packages here with the Mim and the Merlins, and 2 Ismas. 2 Ismas as well. That's a pretty cool tech. I really want to pick their brain on why Isma on this. I really want to pick their brain. There's gotta be an Ultra Megatonic reason for Isma on this deck. We have 4 Friends on the other side and 3 Mother Nose Bass, and 3, the Queen's Castle. This is a great performance by Nicholas Wiley, or I'm pretty sure it's not Willie, it's Wiley when it's Y. Nicholas Wiley, great performance by this. Great text as well. Great control of yourself, not being ultra megatonic greedy on heavying more on the aggro side of things to be able to have better match against different decks. I really want to pick your brain for this with these texts that you added, but that's a great performance by this deck. Really happy to see this on the top 4 this week. All right, next up, another aggro deck that made it to the top. This one is definitely 100% ultra megatonic aggro. It has some mid-grow aspects on it too, but it's pretty heavy on the aggro as well. It's right in the middle. And let's get into it really quick. We're not here to talk about our archetypes. It's just much easier to understand the deck if we look at it like that. Now we have Maleficent, we have Olaf as well, and Robin Hood. A lot of ones over here. We have 12 1-drops. 4 Cusco, Wanted Llama, 4 Mim package. Let's just get that over with. We most likely will have the full package here of the bounce, the Merlins, and the Mims. And then we have 2 Mr. Smee. I'm actually surprised there's only 2 Mr. Smees here. But then again, it's their deck. They gotta have a reason why only 2 Mr. Smees. And we have 4 Pinocchio. We have 4 Arthurs. Very fast start right here from this deck. 1 Benja to be able to deal with the items coming out of nowhere again. We have 4 Hercules True Hero. We have the bounce package that we talk about. 4 Prince never give up. Never gives up. I like this card a lot. I think this card is pretty solid in some of the decks that I play, especially when I play aggro. I play this card a lot. Pinocchio on the Run. Now this is a tech that you don't get to see everywhere, and this is very impressive that a deck like this with a tech like this made it up. And that makes you wonder, like, why run this? I guess like there's a lot of targets for the shift, right? But also this will allow you to not allow your opponents to fully build an ultra megatonic tempo on the board. If you guys don't know what this is, when you play this character, you may return chosen character or item with 3 costs or less to their player's hand, and I think that is a pretty solid card in general. But you don't get to see this a lot. Don't get to see this a lot, and it's really cool and amazing when an ultra megatonic player does this with their deck. And Dennis, props to making it to top 4 with this list. If you show this right now before the tournament, if you show this to a random player out there, or even competitive players out there, they would probably take a look at this and they will say nah. They will say nah right off the bat. They would think that you're just joshing them. They would think that you're just messing around, you know? But obviously he wasn't messing around, and I probably would have reacted the same. I like the aggro, and I would even give some advice, and those advice are probably gonna be wrong. But this is one of the decks that I like the most, if not my favorite deck that made it to top 4, because not only that it's aggro, it's running some really cool techs as well. And then we have the Sorcerer's Spellbook to be able to help you basically close in the game. Like what I said, I just want my aggro players there to understand that this is not a full aggro where you just always like blow your load. There are still a lot of thinking over here. This deck has some mid-range aspects on it, and make sure to be able to explore that area or part of the deck in order for you to probably make the most out of it. If you give this to a regular player, I doubt that they're gonna have the same success. And that's all that I can say with this deck. Props to you, Dennis. Steel Amethyst aggro, making it to the top. Respect. All right, now we are entering the top 2 decks of this tournament. Now we're gonna start off with talking about Steel Song. 2 tournaments of the pack back to back, making it to top 2. One of them is a first place, this one is the second place version, and this one is a flutes version of the deck. So we have what we usually see here, but I want to do a big shout out to the queen, because a lot of the people has actually cut the queen from their deck, and I still think that the queen is still pretty fast and has a place in the meta, and this basically proves that the queen still has that. And we have Mr. Simi as well over here, Ariel, Rapunzel, Beast, you know, the staples. And like what I said, we have the queen and 2 Cinderella. I really think that this Cinderella is super solid. I mentioned that before on this meta, and that's I say that as well because I got 4 copies of them. I'm looking for a reason to run 4 copies of them. But anyways, going back to this 4 bare necessities, a great. I don't know why some players think that bare necessities suck on Steel Song. I think it's a great card on Steel Song. I think you can win a lot of mirrors, or even just playing against other Steel players, or playing against Be Prepared, so you don't get your board wiped anymore. The thing is, like, it's a mid-range deck. You're trying to build so much tempo on the board, and then bam, Be Prepared happens, and it kind of sucks when it does. And what if you didn't have the cards to refill your board? The bare necessities basically deals with that problem, and I like that a lot. Let the storm rage on, strength of a raging fire, and then along came Zeus, a whole new world, and grab your swords. We have only 2 along came Zeus on this list. I really like that card, this card, and I feel like on this list it should be at least like 3 or 4. But hey, who am I to talk again? Konstantin Schall. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Konstantin performed so well with this. Blitzkrieg Bops performed so well with this. It's really cool to see decks like this, especially the ones that people think that are out of the meta now. Sleepy's Flute is still there. The Flute Steel Songs is still performing very well. Props to him for getting to top 2. And I believe that the first place yesterday, because I was watching the show, has mentioned that this was the only loss that they got during the before the top 4 or the top 2. This was the only deck that they lost to against this player. But looks like the blue steel player obviously redeemed themselves and they got first instead. But here's the list. If you guys are looking to play some Steel Song still, and you didn't want to run the lantern version, you want to run the flutes instead, this is a list that you could probably make it however you want to make it. But I think that this list is pretty solid, and also I like the queen splash on this. I really like that. Props to you, Blitzkrieg Bops, for making it up here. GG's. Okay, last but not the least, let's talk about the first place for this tournament. This guy, Sky, has his in-game name is Sky, or Skylar Dunce. I don't know if I pronounced that properly, or Shylar Dunce. Mr. Dunce, great job on this. On the I think it's Skylar. That's why it's called Sky. Skylar Dunce. Anyways, moving on from his name, Skylar. Great job on this first place. The thing is, Skylar or Sky actually got a first place before from the pack tournament. This is his second one that he won in the pack tournament, which is really cool to see an ultra megatonic consistent player like Sky. And this time it's blue steel that we have. We have Captain Hook, Mr. Smee. All of these are usually the cards that you will see. 3 Mickey Mouse and 4 Fishbone Quill. A lot of ramp. 4 Flavershims. 4 Beast Tragic Hero, Sad Boy Beast. A lot of draws for this deck, and you have Cogsworth, of course. 3 Gaston. 4 Tinkerbells. We have 4 Develop Your Brains. Like what I said, a lot of draws, a lot of filters in this deck. This is another Ultra Megatonic tech that I was talking about. I think this card is amazing right now in the meta. This is an Ultra Megatonic card. We have Popsicles, Fishbone Quill, and 2 Lucky Dimes on this deck to help him finish off his opponents. We have 2 and then along came Zeus. I'm probably missing something, but I see a lot of people just running to Along Came Zeus. I just really like this card. This card is so strong. But obviously, these guys are top players. So I gotta pick their brain or look more into it. Why only 2 and then Along Came Zeus? Or if you know, comment down below. Tell me why only 2 Along Came Zeus. And we have 4 A Whole New Worlds, 3 Grab Your Swords, and 1 Let It Go. And last but not least, we have the McDuck Manor. Once you win the game, you start pressuring more with McDuck Manor. It's a great way to close the game. Props to him. One of the things that I want to talk about here is Rise of the Titans and Lucky Dime. We actually already discussed that in a lot of decks. Great text, but 1 Let It Go. On this list, I guess there's a lot of things that can sing this, and also this is probably a tech that if you are going against cards like Mufasa or what do you call this, or Prince Eric from Ruby, the turn 4 Prince Eric, I think this card is super solid to get rid of those cards. Great tech in my opinion. Instead of running an Inkable Hades, one of these might be enough for you. And the thing is, like, this is a card that you would keep in your hands, right? If you maybe not from Mulligan, but you would look for it or keep it in your hands and keep it safe there until people play cards like Mufasa and, like what I said, Prince Eric, because Prince Eric could take out multiple cards or at least your best card in the board and at the same time damage someone with 2 if you don't have Let It Go. But these cards are for those cards for sure. And yeah, there's nothing much to really discuss with this. Great deck, great solid deck. It has the foundation of most blue steel and the techs, really cool techs. Like what I said, I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this for Lucky Dime putting it on D tier. But that's because I didn't figure it out, and I didn't see a lot of people figuring it out. This meta is pretty new. Splashing Lucky Dime has been a new thing that a lot of blue players are doing, and I already commented on my video. If you guys haven't seen my meta, legendary card meta list or tier list, make sure that you do. You can give me some crap about Lucky Dime, why I put it on D. But I did say it has potential. The time for it is just not now. But I was wrong. Someone figured it out sooner than later. So props to these blue players for the Lucky Dime techs and finding some success. And again, congratulations. Firm handshake to Sky, and firm handshakes to every single player that always attempts to do their best to get to one of the top of these tournaments. GG's to all of you. Well played. That would be it for us today with this Meister meta breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you have a better look now of what the meta looks like. Tomorrow we are going to be doing the 8K one, the IRL 8K tournament. A lot of big players there too. A lot of great players went to that. And there are some spicy topics that we can talk about on that list. But for now, I hope you guys learned something from this or enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below those questions that I have where I wanted to pick the brain of these Ultra Megatonic players to find out why one of these, 2 of these, 3 of those, you know. Comment down below if you already know the answer to those, and or just leave an emoji if you can, because it helps. Other than that, make sure to smash that like, subscribe, and bell button to help out the channel and show some love and support for us. And I'll see you guys on the next videos. Peace.